Sorry, just wanted to point that out just in case.
Way to fuck up my intro. All right.
Yay, more editing. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's all right. Just chop the whole front off, circumcise it. All right. Welcome back, masters and princesses, to another episode of Made News Network. I am your host, SJ Nix. I am here with Peter Lim, and we are here with Alan from Dicodec. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good
Hello,
morning.
hello.
All right. So the reason we are here today, about a month and a half ago, the song or the video for Bestie was released.
Yeah, the
And
number one Band Maid song of all time.
so
Everyone loved it.
if you watched,
Unanimous.
yeah, if you watched Alan's video, he proclaims in that this is a top 10 Band Maid song. So, uh, and so
I'm doubling down. I'm doubling down now. It's now number one.
all right, cool, let's do this. All right, so I called him out in the comments. He goes, okay, let's do a video about it. So we're here to talk about why this makes the top 10, what got kicked out of the top 10, what else exists in his top 10. And we're going to see if he's full of shit or if there's some logic to this. It's probably a little bit of both. So with that,
100%.
Alan, all right, let's go, bro. Why is Bestie a top 10 Band Maid song when that is such expensive real estate?
It is a very expensive real estate for sure. You said something before this podcast. That's very true. Sometimes when you hear something, right? Because you gotta remember these are reactions, guys, and they're really done at the first moment, where you're like, which is actually bullshit now that I think about it, because my first reaction was tanked and I had to re-record it. So I do mention that in the video. But yeah, at the time it was very new, very fresh. And I think the thing that stood out to me that made it jump to the top 10 in my head at the moment was the mix of the song. The mix of the song was really well done. And it was that moment that I heard Konami's solo and I said, that's the tone. That's the tone solo I hope she goes with in the future, because it has the elements of Unseen World tone and it has the elements of world domination tone and Conqueror. It has those solo elements too. And so it was like, I think the perfect mix for me when I was listening to it, as far as a sound engineer standpoint. And it was just very full, very warm. It wasn't overly produced, in my opinion. And it just kicked ass. So that's why I immediately was like, oh, this is top 10 out the gate, because of that alone. I felt like that tone that Konami had was just perfect. And you could actually hear her playing, perfectly in that recording.
So yeah, that's another thing you mentioned in there too, is this is obviously not a Konami written song. That is Mike Einziger all day long. That intro riff is so Incubus.
But only the intro, in my
Right.
opinion. Just
Right.
that first
Yeah.
riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it and it worked really well. So like obviously I'm half playing with you about this was a really, really good song. And obviously we've only got a few collabs from them. We've only got one cover from them at this point, but it is definitely a shining star. Like I think in my comment, I said it's like a top third catalog song. It's a really good song. So not to take anything away from it.
I gotta say this though, my only gripe actually with the song is that the intro riff, it sounds way too Incubus. It's definitely like a straight up riff from one of their songs. After I thought about it after the fact. And do you even consider it really a collab? At that point, because a lot of bands have producers, like for example, Nemophila. They have millions of producers, and so it's really hard to even consider it a true collab, in my opinion. Like I just feel like they're a producer on the song, just like when we had The Dragon Cries, which is actually one of my top 15, top 10 bandmate songs too. I really enjoy that one also. So yeah, I know you don't. But what was I gonna say? Where was I going with that? So I don't even really consider it a collab, to be honest. Other than that riff, that one riff that stands out, you might as well just have Mike jump in on the track and play that riff. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
Devil's advocate then. Devil's advocate. If you don't really consider that a genuine collaboration, what about the things that Baby Metal's done with different artists? Like, are those collaborations? Like just like what, yesterday, 2 days ago, they came
See,
out with Electric Callboy, that
see,
Ratatata.
that I think was probably one of the truest collaborations because it was evenly distributed with all the band members. You know what I mean? That was an actual collaboration between them. Like there was an even amount because, well, even with the producers, also there was even a good collaboration between producers. They had some on Electric Callboy's side, they had some on Baby Metal. Nico, the singer for Electric Callboy, helped produce the song also. And I believe the other singer, I forget his name, is escaping me. With this one, it's just like, oh, it's Mike Eisenberg producing it, you know. So I guess it is a collaboration, but if you're thinking about it as like a performance collaboration, then also it's not. It's just a producer collaboration. It's not really, and that's why his name's not in the title of the song and stuff like that, you know. So I don't consider it a true collaboration. For me, true collaboration is if they're equally like playing it together and stuff like that. The song that Baby Metal came out with before the Electric Callboy one, forgetting the name. I'm sorry, it's too early in the morning. That one was probably less of a collaboration than Electric Callboy one, you know, because that was more like a feature, you know.
Okay, so then would the one they did, and I've been out of the Baby Metal loop for so long, the one they did with F Hero, would you call that a collab, or was he just like a spotlight? The one where they're twirling the towels all the time. I can't remember what the name of that song is.
I consider that a collab. He's doing the whole chorus and doing a rap verse in it, you know.
So you're saying as long as it's a collaboration performance, that's a collaboration to you. Not necessarily a production or maybe mixing, even maybe lyrically.
The definition of the definition of collaboration, yes, it's an actual collaboration, but it wasn't. If we're talking about collaboration in like the performance and the producing and everything all around, not so much. It's still collaboration, obviously, but it's very minimal. You know what I mean? Like it's very on the side because that song to me sounds like a Band Maid song after the intro. So that was my only gripe is like, we only have this intro. We're like, okay, that's obviously Incubus. You know what I mean? And then the rest is like clearly Band Maid 100%.
No,
you know?
but I do think that riff informed Konami, and that led her to create, you know, the rest of the song, to make it that warm, to make it that sort of like leisurely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a drop, like it's a seed, but it's enough seed for it to grow into something, and for Konami to, I think, water it and grow it and to cultivate it to become a Band Maid song. But at the same time, I can say that is not a song that Konami ever would have written on her own, you know?
Gotcha. Maybe.
So that's
I don't know,
take.
because like even Psyche's vocals is reminiscent of a lot of other songs prior to that, especially this morning when I was going down SJ's top 10 or whatnot. I was like, it's kind of funny how many elements of the choruses from the earlier songs were in that song, kind of like as a amalgamation, like a creation of a bunch of. So you see this with bands, right? Like if you go back to their back catalog, you'll hear a lot of similarities with this. There's that one song that actually blew up, but there's all the songs before it that had bits and pieces of that song in it. You ever notice that? Like you're like, oh, it's because, you know, as they develop as a band, like back then, most bands, they would blow up after the fourth album or third album or something like that. Especially in the 90s, it was always way in that trajectory, right? Most bands make it after like being together for 6-7 years. And it's kind of fun to me. It sounded like an evolution of those other choruses and stuff like that. If we're talking about the vocals and stuff. And I think they would have still written in that direction eventually. So you're right. Like anything can inspire, like when I do covers and stuff, right? You get inspired and you write things. I don't know. It's just that riff was like clearly Incubus, that beginning one, so much so. And then the rest, you just felt the shift to Band Maid. You know?
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that maybe playing that riff and seeing that this maybe colors some of her writing going forward. That sometimes we get as musicians, all of us to different degrees, when we write stuff, we get into the box gets smaller and smaller and smaller because we find what's comfortable for us. And then something like that maybe will force her out of that comfort zone and then maybe open her creativity a bit.
what I was going to say this, I don't know if she's mentioned about this. Let me know. I haven't read a lot of interviews. Did she say he she was influenced a lot with the writing, specifically from Mike? That they would
There
have
was a
they said.
video that dropped. There was a behind the scenes video that dropped. I can't remember the exact details, but I do think it was that riff, and she said that was something that she couldn't have written. I think she had tweeted that out
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like early on, and then she was just saying like thank you to Mikey Chan because that with that she tried to make something that kind of captured that spirit, and not just the
Mhm.
riff itself, but Mikey, like his kindness and his warmth. So it's
Mhm.
interesting because she was informed not just by the riff, but by him and what she tried to capture with, I think, the spirit or mood that he brought in as a person. So that was really interesting to see.
Yeah, here's my take on the whole influence of the song. I think he influenced something else entirely, not the writing. I think more of the sound, the overall sound of the song is, I hope that influence sticks because the way that they went about producing and mixing that song was in the right direction, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better than the other songs. I don't know if it's because they stripped back some technicalities maybe on some of the layers of guitars. I noticed in this one we had like you hear in I love Unseen World, but Unseen World, like both layers of guitars are extremely intricate. You know,
Yeah.
where this one you have one intricate and one not so intricate,
Mm-hmm.
like one laying the bed, the foundation, and then you have the technical stuff. To me, I think I hope that had a lot of influence overall with Konami because I think that's could maybe give them a breakout hit even further. I know for us, like everything's a breakout hit, but you know what I mean? Like on a bigger scale, maybe for them to, reach more fans. I think it make it more digestible because Unseen World, I absolutely love that album, but it's definitely not digestible for a lot of people I show, you know, in comparison to other songs.
No, I hate to say something like this because it's kind of
You said it enough times. Say it again.
oh no, not that one.
Oh, not the abusive
No,
one.
the joke that
The
I've made is
abusive one.
no, see, early on because Unseen World is so loud and it's so kind of brick walled it's so compressed that it's an abusive relationship. It beats the hell out of you, but you love it, so you keep coming back for more. Which is a little bit of
Okay.
it's dark humor. That's what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. Gotcha.
But
Because in Unleashed, they dial it back a little bit with the compression,
a little
right?
bit, a little bit.
Just a
It's
little bit, but
still
it's still the same.
it's super busy, and the thing with Unseen World for me at least is that, and I was going to say it's a little bit arrogant to say that to really really appreciate that you have to have some musicianship in you because it is so intricate and there's so much going on. And then do you have the score where you have the instrumental only version of it, Alan?
Yes, I
Okay.
have the instrumental album of.
Okay. Right.
Oh yeah.
When you pull Psyche out of there, there's so much going on that you never would hear with her in there. So they're just so busy for that entire album. There's so much musicality to it. And it just feels like to really, really appreciate it, you need to have at least some level of musicality.
I was talking about this with Joe from Firewind, and we were saying, people in Japan, they expect extraordinary, and I think that album was really to target their Japanese audience. I really feel like that because it definitely was geared towards that extraordinary elements of it because the album is, and I think people in Japan probably really appreciated that album. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't talked to a bunch of them, but I did see their sets list for their Japan shows was all the newer stuff, right? It was all their newer stuff and beyond. So I wonder if that had played a part in it, with those songs. And then when this one came out, it feels really geared towards the West, for this last song, obviously because of Mike being on it. But I was curious what you guys think about that because I noticed like the set list, it was Unseen World or newer, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Or
For this
Day of
last
Maid.
shows, the Japan one. Yeah, Day of Maid.
Yeah, it was everything like post-COVID or COVID and on.
Yeah, so and I think that was for that audience specifically because they knew that they would
Uh,
appreciate it more.
I would disagree with that because at the Yokohama spin-off show, which was, it was a throwback to a lot of their older hits. And fans absolutely just devoured it. Like they were like legit thrilled, like hooting and hollering, like they were so glad to hear those songs. And of course, there's a nostalgia factor. But I think with Unseen World and even with Unleash, I mean, I don't, because there is so much Japanese music out there. And the more that I hear, there's a lot more simple bands out there.
Hmm.
I mean, there are bands that people have heard of and that people listen to more, like in terms of the Western world. But I would say overall, I mean, there's enough variety and mix that I don't think that kind of complexity and intensity was necessarily geared towards the Japanese audience.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's,
you're probably
yeah.
right. Yeah, like we're just talking here. So at the
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah.
merit, I always think about this. I'm like, I honestly don't think Band Maid cares. Like when I really think about it, I'm like, I don't think they care. They just play whatever they want. Maybe they're just like, you
Mm.
know what? Let's just focus on all the new songs for this Day of Maid, and
Yeah, like I mean, I just
maybe
remember.
it probably made their decision making easier, right? They're like, guys, I don't want to try to choose between 10 albums worth of songs. Can we just like focus on the COVID past? Maybe that was the decision, Let's just focus on the newer albums for this show.
Yeah, I think because they had done like the throwbacks with the 10th year anniversary, and then also with the spin-off, Psyche, who decides the set list, decided, okay, let's go the opposite direction and just go with everything new,
Yeah.
since they had been going back and back. And so, I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed the show, but I mean, honestly, I think I prefer the spin-off in terms of the set list.
Yeah.
And I think because I would say, to be honest, I appreciate the simplicity that Band Maid brings to songs. I appreciate what they do with songs on a simpler scale, which is why I really enjoyed Bestie. Not just because it had sort of a throwback musically for me, because like for me, I was playing a lot of music like in the 90s and in the aughts. And so that style, that feel, like the little like string bend, the slight vibrato, that really just cool laid back feel, like 1979 Smashing Pumpkins, Mayonnaise. I just really connected with that. But I just like you said, I liked hearing everything. I
Yeah.
like that I didn't have to force myself and like try to separate my brain into like five different pieces to try to hear every little thing going on. I could just enjoy the song for what it was and just feel it a lot more. So I like that
Yeah.
aspect of the song a lot.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everyone's got to remember that arrangement and producing is also a skill set to work on. And I'm curious to know if that's something Konami was thinking when they did this song, like, oh wow, this is a different way, maybe to get back to what they were doing maybe earlier, but from a different approach. You know what I mean? Because the sound's just different. The Bestie sounds really different from everything we've heard. Maybe the
Especially recently.
melodies,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Psyche's melodies do remind me of other melodies in previous songs. It's the only thing I would
Mhm.
say that I can be like, oh, I recognize these vocals from past songs. That's the only thing. The music though underneath, completely fresh, completely different. And again,
Mhm.
Konami's solo tone, I love it. I was like,
Mhm.
I absolutely love it. It's because it's complete. It felt complete. I don't know how to explain it because the earlier solos, yes, it feels like Konami. She didn't have that newer tone yet. And then Unseen World, we got a full-fledged taste of it. But when they warmed it up a little bit for Bestie, I was like, that's it. That's the one. I really, really am hoping that they continue with that tone for a solo because I think it's
Mhm.
perfect. It cuts through really well.
So
Mhm.
I want to stick on the solo a little bit. So I remember my first impression, like maybe the first two or three listenings, I did not like or I shouldn't say I didn't like, I didn't really care for the solo first few measures of it, that repeated note over and over in that band. But it started to grow on me. And before I say why, I'm curious, what was your take on that solo?
On the actual solo, not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a fan of solo. Still not. It sounds like other solos. I've heard that ram part,
Mm-hmm.
in many of the other songs. But I think it was good. It definitely is a good solo, but it wasn't like the best.
Mm.
I don't think so. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
when
my
I
overall
heard
take of it.
it, no, like I mean, when I heard it too, it wasn't like I remember like writing a lot because I listened to the song a lot and I really liked it. I remember when I heard the solo, I was like, it didn't feel that thought through. Like it didn't feel like she really tried to make something exquisite. To me, when I heard it, it felt very just heartfelt. So, like for
Mm.
me, like I grew up listening to a lot of like blues rock too, which is blues. And so playing like notes over and over and over again, when you see someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan doing that or B.B. King, like any of those guys, it's like it just means they're feeling it. Like their face gets really ugly and they're just like, just
Mm.
feeling it. So when I heard that solo, I was just like, yeah, she's really feeling it. I feel like it was a very heartfelt solo more than it was like a thought through composition, you know?
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but the difference between that is like she consistently did the bends at the same distance every time,
Right.
Normally when you hear those other artists, you hear
Mm.
fluctuation with it. I don't know if
Mm.
that's just somebody in the editing room that just was like, oh, I want this bend to sound the same every time. So for me, I get what you're saying. Like I could kind of feel it, but I have a
Mm.
feeling that solo would sound better live. I think there might have been some editing on that lead to
Yeah.
make it too consistent. That's something
Mm.
that they did in older music. They let those, like you said, those feel it, like, because there's no way an artist just bends that perfectly that many times in a row like that. I don't know what happened there. And she is really good. Maybe she just bend it perfectly every time
Mm.
on those parts. But I'd be curious to hear it live. I have a feeling it would change live too. It might have been an improvised solo too. Who knows? She could have just done a take and, oh, here it is. That one sounds good. Let's go with that. Who knows?
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you got this. Probably not. I know you've been crazy busy, but Peter was at the Incubus show and recorded Band Maid's entire set, and
Mm.
they played Bestie with Mike. So he comes out on stage and plays it with them. So when you get a chance, it's on our channel. Just look it up and listen to Bestie. I'm curious to see what your take is of it live. And
What was your guys' take of it?
everything's better live with them. There's very few songs that I'll go to the studio version over a recorded live version. There's not too many songs that fall in that category.
Yeah, especially with Band Maid.
Yeah. But one of the things I find myself doing with the Bestie solo and then the mid-tempo song we got before that being Memorable. The
Mm-hmm.
solo in Memorable conveys emotion, like a lot of emotion, because there's a dissonant quality to that solo, and it's almost like it's like not a cry for help, but like there's a lot of emotion in the Memorable one, and it seems like maybe the Bestie solo was trying to get there and didn't quite make it. Um,
Mm.
I don't know.
That's some good. Those are, I mean, that's a good example of a lead. That one threw me back for a little bit. And then I was like, I appreciated it a lot more afterwards.
Oh, the Memorable one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Psyche sings over it, and um, the one thing I don't like about it is the little doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
Yeah.
The cadence gets weird toward the end of it. Anyway, so the reason we came here was this is a top 10 Band Maid song. Is it actually a top 10 Band Maid song?
I don't know. Actually, after this conversation, you convinced me to stick with yes.
Really? All right. All right.
No, I don't know. I don't. It's really hard. Like this this morning when I was going through, I'm like, all right, let me sit down. Which, by the way, thank you for this interview, guys. I really appreciate it because it let me take a step back for a moment and just listen to music this morning. I was like, let me go listen to Band Maid's catalog because it's been a moment. I've been so busy learning songs and stuff. So when you're learning songs, you kind of have to like live and breathe the songs that you're learning and things like that. So it was good to just be able to listen. So I appreciate that because I was like, oh my God, I forgot about all these songs, these great songs. So I was like just listening to them and trying to feel it out. It's definitely up there. For me, it'd be a go-to song for me. Like I wouldn't skip it, compared to other songs. So definitely be somewhere in the, I would agree with you, the upper 1/3 of the catalog. I would definitely throw it in there.
So in no particular order, just give us some songs that you would put in. What's Alan's top 10? Like I said, no order, just like, hey, these guys are this is the pinnacle.
There's some people that are watching right now probably already said Saya Nakadori in their head because they knew I was going to say that out loud. So it's funny because a lot of the songs are from Unseen World, of course, Manners, Afterlife, Warning. But going outside of that, Daydreaming, Bubble, The Dragon Cries, Puzzle, Memorable is definitely up there for me. There's no particular order for that. Rockin' Me, of course, I love that song. One that I always forget about that I absolutely like is mainly because of the riff. So I don't know if I consider it top 10. Freezer is a great song that I really like. And Isle, I think it's very, very underrated song. Isle's such a good song.
Yeah.
I think Play is on my list. And actually, just because it's so catchy, I know people are gonna be like, of course he says one, but Don't Let Me Down, man. It's so freaking catchy. I was listening to it. I'm like, so what I did this morning, I just listened to the catalog. Whatever songs were just like stuck in my head after I was listening. I'm like, Don't Let Me Down is stuck in my head. Like, I got to put it on the list. It's like, I know it's an older tune. I don't even know if they were part of the writing right for that one. But I mean, it's stuck in my head.
No.
Yeah.
That was a kerfuffle in the fandom with the lyrics when people start figuring out what the lyrics actually were. So no, they
I know I'm gonna get shit for that one, but it was stuck in my head, so I was like, I'm gonna write it down. Like whatever, literally, this is how I did the top 10 this morning. I was like listening through the catalog, I'm like, stuck in my head. It's like, and this is what I came up with. So for those of you listening, those are the ones that like caught my attention. Just listening to the catalog all the way through. I didn't even give it a really crazy analysis. It could probably change if I sat there and did a proper analysis of every song, but those are the ones. It's Freezer, Warning, Afterlife, Manners, Saya Nakadori, Isle, Play, Rockin' Me, Daydreaming, Bubble, The Dragon Cries, Puzzle, Memorable, Don't Let Me Down. And I'm sure I forgot to listen to some songs this morning because there's a lot of B-sides and stuff I think probably get to.
It's all good.
Yeah.
What about you, Peter? Did you do any homework on this one?
Nope.
So
what homework do you want me to do? I can't do a top 10. I don't have one.
I know
I've never had one.
Yeah, it's hard.
I mean, I can tell you this, Bestie, the last time I was so committed to a Band Maid song, actually, it was the whole album, like Unseen World. I was playing that thing like nonstop for probably half a year.
Same.
Like
Same.
The entire album,
Same. Yep.
Yeah, but as far as like a song, I think it was actually About Us, because About Us was such an emotional thing. It was such a personal thing. So like with Bestie, I didn't listen to it technically. I didn't listen to it like with the critic's ear. It was just like, man, I just love the way this song makes me feel. I love the emotions it brings out. I love just through the headspace it puts me in, the heart space it puts me in. And the melody, I wasn't actually like recalling different songs that the melody connected with, like Alan was saying, like, oh, it reminds me of this song or that song. Like it never did that for me, which sometimes it does. I just appreciated the song for itself, but I can't say it's a top 10 for some reason. Like, it's like, it grabbed me when it grabbed me. And I played that song nonstop, like, I think like a good 50, 60, 70 hours. Like, that's the only song I was listening to for like a long while. So.
Man, I don't have the attention span for that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I get pretty obsessive deep with certain things,
Yeah.
which can be positive and can be negative depending upon what my what my target is, whether they want it or not. SJ, I'm thinking about you a lot. No.
Lovely.
Um no, but like Secret My Lips had me for a while. Uh what else? Moratorium has had me for the longest time, Nonfiction Days. Um so yeah, I mean I can throw out some songs here and there, but I don't have a top 10.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I can always tell you who the two that are always in the top five for me are Warning and Daydream, two of my favorite songs. Period. I could listen to them all day long without a problem. Warning is still my number one. Daydreaming usually sits in at two or three. Um, I like mid-tempo stuff. Smile is one of my favorite songs from them.
Start
Um,
over.
um, there's and then some of the older. I really like the older stuff. Like here on my list, I think it ended up being 15 songs. Is Forward, Cross, You, and then Nonfiction Days. Those are the older ones. I just like the older stuff, even though they didn't write it. There's just they're just good. And I know Cross is one of those ones a lot of people don't like it because of the key changes, and it's almost like three songs slammed in together to one, but it just works really well for me.
Good song.
It's okay for me. Not great. It's okay.
Anything with a key change that Mir hates makes me smile. So
Same.
Oh man. All right. So we're going to start winding this down. Alan, is there anything that you want to talk about? And off camera, we talked about you're like five bands right now. You've got stuff going on. Anything, and you're in Sacramento right now. Anything that you want to plug?
San Jose.
So I'm sorry, NorCal. It's all one big giant mess. Southern California people, NorCal, it's all the same. LA is all Southern California. Sacramento and San Francisco is all Northern. Anyway, what you got going, man? Tell us.
Oh, well, for those that don't know, I got new podcasts every Sunday. We talk about Japanese music news and other music related things. Don't have a name yet for it, but it's going really well. We have a really cool person I'm starting this up with, Joe Nunez from Firewind, he's been the drummer for Marty Friedman and played with many bands over in Japan and stuff like that. So it's really cool to get his insights about how that whole world works and everything. So if that's something you guys are interested in, we do it every Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and along with Margarita Monet and my buddy Joey. So that's what we got going on, and just doing the same stuff over on Dicodec. I think a lot of you guys know we got new covers coming out, new original music coming out. We got a Baby Metal cover coming out. We got Hanabi cover coming out. Working on another Band Maid song. It's been in the works for a while, but we had lost members in the past. Well, just the basis. So we're trying to get back on track, trying to get focused again. So
That's a lot to focus on, bro.
yeah, it is. Yeah, just the tour thing made me actually reset. So that was pretty good. That was a pretty fun tour. Met a lot of new friends.
Right on. All right. Peter, what do you got coming up? I know you got a busy, I think your June's pretty well booked up with interviews and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's still like a handful of interviews that need to be edited and put out. Oh, this is really cool. Is for the Warning, since we're talking about collaborations, at the Warning Band Maid show, a couple of the Koreans who had done Band Aid, the Band Maid cover band, they'll be flying over because people had extra tickets and they'll be seeing their first Band Maid show ever. So
wait, there's
really
a Band Maid cover band?
Yeah, they're
called
Korean.
Band Aid.
Wow.
They're good.
Yeah, so they've done Rene, they've done Freedom, they've done like a pretty fair few, like at least 10 to 15 songs. But
Wow.
I had gotten in contact with them a few months ago, interviewed them. It'll be out. That's one of the first interviews that needs to go out, but it'll be out soon before they get here. And then hopefully when they do get here, we can hang out. They'll hang out with some people hopefully after the show and then get their take. And I'm excited. It's really cool that uh, for a band that's been covering Band Maid for so long to actually see them for the first time, that's really like it's touching to me. Like I love
How
that.
long have they been doing this?
Um, it was actually on and off because of COVID.
Hmm.
So yeah, actually, I think pre-COVID there had been an attempt at one time, and then they started it. COVID happened. They had to wait, and then they started doing a few shows like afterwards. So yeah, it's really cool. They're really fun. I've only interviewed the bassist and the singer who actually formed the group, but they're really
Hmm.
fun. They're really cool. So but
Awesome.
yeah, that's coming up. Yeah, that's coming up next month. June 12th is when the show happens. And then yeah, so like Scott was saying, I have tons of shows. I don't know, maybe more than I should go to, but but I have Sega coming up. I have a lot of Haiti shows coming up. Let It Out Leria, another group that I really like, is coming up. Yuri's birthday will have been done after this goes out or before this goes out. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff. So it's busy. It's busy. I get tired, but I like it.
Thanks
Build
for
it.
mentioning Sega.
Oh,
Forgot about Sega. Well, for those that don't know, it's been coming up with a top 10 Japanese bands that nobody's ever heard of kind of video. Sega is definitely going on that video for sure. I almost forgot
Mm,
about them. Hmm.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
do you want to solicit some ideas from our fan base because it's
Yeah,
pretty
I'd
diverse?
love to
So
hear what
yeah, shoot your
I'd love
shot,
to hear
man. Tell
what
them what you
everyone's got to
want.
say. Yeah. Yeah, like so I'm working on a video. As you know, like if I just throw a band out there, like for example, like Jaluka, it's not gonna do as well just doing a reaction video. So I've figured to get a bunch of people to watch a video on the channel is to get a good top 10 of like the best bands that people haven't heard of. So far on my list it's been Now Sega, Dim Rays, Jaluka, and I already forgot the other one I was thinking of having on there. But I'm still thinking about it. So if you guys have any suggestions or anything like that, drop a comment here or drop it over on our Discord underneath our video tab. And I would love to hear everyone's ideas. So those three are definitely going on there. Sega, Dim Race, and Jaluka, 100%. So it doesn't matter who it is. Anybody you guys
Nekomeshi.
think?
Check
Nekomeshi.
out this band.
Oh, Hades was one of them, right? That I had to check out the EP for. So yeah, just give me a list and check out Hades too. And
Yeah,
then who's
and
that?
then this band,
Nekomeshi.
Nekomeshi, which means cat food in Japanese. Nekomeshi 222,
Mhm.
but they're like a throwback to like thrash metal.
Okay.
But I think you might appreciate the riffs. I think you'll appreciate just how stripped down and how hard they go. And then vocally, there's some really good stuff too. So
Awesome.
check out the album, not just the single that's out with the music video.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely gonna check out the album because we were just talking right before this podcast. Hades, I wasn't a fan of from the first song, but I want to check out the whole out EP because, the band's just starting, right? They're always going to improve. Just like Hanabiye was in the beginning, there's a couple songs I wasn't a fan of, but I was a fan of other ones. Ended up loving what they started doing later on. So you never know what these bands are going to do later. They start off with a certain sound and what they end up doing. Jaluka is a really good example of that because they started off a completely different direction than what you hear now. You know, um,
So, all right, gentlemen, this has been fun. So we're going to wind this down right now. Alan, appreciate you coming on with us, man. Good luck with all of the bands you got going, the video, your Sunday podcast. Be sure to check out his yet to be named Sunday podcast. It was what time Mountain Time?
9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
9 a.m.
Yep.
Mountain. All right. So from Made News Network, I'm SJ Nix here with Peter Lim. We've been talking to Alan from Dicodec and a bunch of other good things too. What the hell is that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, all right. I learned
It's
something
partying.
new. I learned something new today.
I think that's for
Oh my
balloons.
God.
Yeah, the
Christ
heart
on
one
a
always
cracker.
works.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh
love.
God,
Wow.
new toys, boys with new toys. All right.
Oh, you got
With
it right here. The heart. There you go.
All right. With that, I am SJ Nix and with Peter Lim from Made News Network. This has been a conversation with Alan from Dicodec. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you next time on Made News Network.
Where's the balloons? The balloons never work for me. See you.